Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am here with the lovely Abby from Uproot Brushes. And
Hey.
today we are going to be showing you our latest brush set that we collaborated on, which is super exciting. We are going to be walking through a sketchbook page project. Everything that we're using today is linked in the description below, including some freebies. So there's the brush link for the new pack, and then I think three Dropbox links. One has reference images, which we will be using to reference, and then there's a like general freebie sketchbook pack that I've been sending out in my emails this week. So you might already have it. In addition to that, there's a third link, and that's for a background wood grain texture brush that Abby has supplied. So if you already have the freebies or the full set, be sure to download that brush because that has not been sent out anywhere else, so you don't have it. That's what we're going to be using today. And we're going to be doing this a little bit differently than some of our other lives. We're going to bounce back and forth to demonstrate different portions of the project. So, for example, for this first part, I'll show you how to build a notebook, and then for the second part, Abby's going to show you how to use the Polaroid kit to do some cool photo effects, and we'll just continue back and forth like that. Um, and am I forgetting anything, Abby?
I don't think so. I think you've covered everything.
Okay. Let us know in the chat where you are tuning in from, or if you're following along, or I don't know if it's morning for you and you're drinking a morning beverage, what that is. Just chime in and say hi. And I'm going to share my screen here, and we can get started. Okay, so before we dive in, I wanted to run through some of what the brush set includes. This is the freebie set that is sent out that I have pulled up here. So it's just 6 brushes. And some of these, specifically the binding brush, is earlier version. So it's not exactly what's with the set, but it'll give you an idea and give you something to follow along with for the duration of the project. So this sketchbook set, we started collaborating on it. I want to say like as early as May when we did the etched notebook
Yeah. Yeah,
series.
it was.
And it's been really fun to work with Abby on this, but then also to like brainstorm and like add ideas. I feel like it kind of transformed into something completely different than what we had maybe originally anticipated it to be, and it's awesome because it's just a ton more stuff that you can do with it. So the set has 3 different brush sets. There's the sketchbook set, the paper texture set, and then the washi tape set. And then within the sketchbook set, there are several smaller sections. So there are everything you need in the first section is to build the notebook, the bindings, the pages, the shadows. And then we have some scribbler brushes just to sketch or scribble or scrawl. And then these office supply brushes are really cool. They are totally opaque, and I love this one because it even has the like manila tags have texture built in. They are totally opaque, so you can layer things, and then they have the built-in like shadows and highlights that you can use with any color.
My favorite is the sticker with the little bit folded over.
Yes,
That one.
the
Yeah,
rumpled
stamp that. That's
sticker.
that is so cool.
And that texture on that sticker is one from the paper textures, which I will run through as well. And then the Polaroid kit is full of super cool light leaks and lens flares, and then some like textures and splatters to grunge things up, as well as this great Polaroid frame brush. And I love the Polaroid. Not, I'm gonna try to say it out loud.
I should have named it something easier.
Polarizer. It just adds a really cool noise effect. We used it on like all of the preview images on top to give everything like that nice vintage print noise look. And then the paper texture brushes are Abby's signature two brush system. So there's blend mode suggestions in the brush name, and so they're in sets of two. And some of these are like super deep textured brushes. So there's like the rumpled, the smashed, and the crushed. I'll show you. We'll grab white here. Oh, I think I have pressure and smoothing turned on, the like brush stabilization. That's what's throwing me off. So this is not what we'll walk through the steps of actually putting in the texture, but just so you can see how rich this texture is. It's pretty amazing. And then clear this. And then there's washi tape brushes. There are 21 different patterns with 2 different edge finishes, so you can have torn edges or cut edges. Let me zoom in here. And the torn edges are cool because they're like a little randomized, and they have like the fade of actual torn paper. And then all of the washi tapes are a little bit transparent. So if you layer it over something with a drop shadow, you'll still sort of see the hint of that shadow underneath. I just love how realistic it looks. So you can see there's just that slight bit of transparency. And that's the set. Let me jump in here and throw some of your messages on the screen. And also let us know if there's any like glaring sound issues that you're having. We try to level it out beforehand, but if you are having issues, let us know. All right, we have Alfredo. Hi. Oh, it's so nice to see familiar names, familiar faces. We've got South Carolina, Nashville, South Dakota, Ontario, Canada, Southern Georgia, and Sydney, Colorado, Oregon, Germany, another Oregon, another Chicago. That's where I'm from. And am I Michigan? I think it's Michigan.
What's Minnesota?
MN. Italy. And Georgia. Oh my gosh, we have some Denmark, Atlanta, Canada. Oh my gosh, there's just such far-flung people. I love this. All right. So to start, if you have downloaded the reference image that you want to use, we've already loaded ours up into the reference pane. I can walk through. Let us know if you want us to show you the steps to do that, and I can do that for sure. Otherwise, I would say just load it up on your iPad so you're set to go. This is the one that Abby and I are both going to be using, but feel free to pick your own or draw knot mushrooms. It's totally up to you.
Why would anyone draw anything other than mushrooms?
Or
is it just you and I are like mushroom mental?
Any
opportunity to talk about mushrooms.
It might be just us, but that's okay. That's okay, right? So I have my layers named here, and this is actually, if you watched my live with Design Cuts, it's the same order of layers. So I will probably be adding more than this, but this will help me hopefully keep organized and help you follow along a little better. So they're all set to the normal blend mode, and I'm going to start on my very first layer for the background. I'm going to just grab a brown for the wood grain texture. And I have these brush size set to 100%. Oh, first, before I do anything else, I have to fix my pressure and smoothing. Yeah, that was a lot. I was playing around with, I also need to, my pressure curve looked a little crazy. Okay. I was playing around with Abby's brush pack that you did with Shout Bam.
Oh, yes.
The is it Instant 3D Letters? Is that the correct name?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And
I wanted to call it something crazy, and Jimbo was like, "Settle down. Let's just call it something." Well, and people will understand.
yeah, I feel like there's a balance because you want to like keep it interesting, right?
Yeah.
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 And I'm also going to, this is something that I was having fun playing around with. I'm going to set my background color to gold and add a layer in between. This is going to be weird, but I promise the effect is fun. And then in the sketchbook set, I'm going to scroll down to the double light leak screen brush, and I have just grabbed white for this because I want it to be super bright. Normally this is a brush that you would use with a bright color, but I'm gonna tap once to stamp, and then I'm gonna increase the size a bit, and then I'll do another one over here.
Oh, cool. It creates some variation. I love that. Okay, I'm copying you.
Yeah, and then it's almost like a foil effect underneath.
Yeah.
I think I just want to blur it out a bit. It's not quite so intense. Yeah, it reminded me, because this grain texture shows the color underneath, it reminded me of when you do like a stain on wood and it sticks in some of the grain more deeply than some of the others. So that's kind of where that started. Okay, so now I have my background, and I have moved up to the layer above my background layer. So merge those two together. And then on this base page layer, I'm using solid white. And I'm going to grab one of these page brushes. I'm going to go with the square page. My canvas size is like 4,000 by 5,000, so I've increased my brush size here to larger than the notches that are saved. But just play around. You might have to like tap and undo a couple times to get the size to the right point for your canvas size. And then I am using the transform tool to freeform, and I'm going to change the proportions a bit. And then set to uniform once I'm happy with the ratio. So
that's the really nice thing about the page stamps, is they've got the shadow and everything built in, and you can just use transform to make them the ratio that you want. So it's not you're not kind of locked in to A4 if you don't want to be.
Exactly. And the shadow still looks good every time, no matter how you resize it. Okay, so now we have that done, and we can grab our spiral binding. For this, I'm going to use the squared one-page spiral, and let's grab a light pink.
I like the classic round one with the round holes.
Ah, yes.
It's really good.
Okay, so now I'll walk through. I'll go backwards and do it, because I didn't explain any of what I was doing there. Okay, so I have my brush and I have my color chosen, and these are directional brushes, so I'm drawing in one stroke upwards, and then without lifting my pencil from the screen, I'm waiting until it snaps into a line. And you'll know that by this notification that comes up at the top. And then I can release and tap edit shape here at the very top as well, and it gives me these adjustable nodes that I can move around. And from here, you can stretch it out, and it won't adjust the proportions of the spiral. It'll just change the spacing of them, so you don't have to worry about it looking skewed or distorted, but that allows me to zoom in and make sure that it's flush with the edge of the page. And then I also try to eyeball it to make sure that there's equal distance at the top and the bottom. And if there's not, just nudge it downwards. You can also, once you release from that like line interface, you can tap the transform tool and move it like normal as well. From here, I'm going to move to a layer directly below that spiral, but still above the page, and add in some shadows. So I'm going to grab solid black, and let's grab just the narrow shadow edge, and I'll just make it a 2-page edge here. So starting on the vertical edge. Is that the right? Yeah, be vertical. I'm going to draw up from the bottom. So again, this is another directional brush. And same as with the spiral binding, I have it pressed to the screen until it creates a solid line. And then I'm going to release and tap Edit Shape. And from here, I'm going to align it at the top of the page edge. And then at the bottom, I am skewing it a bit so it's closer to the outer edge, and then so it's just like slightly angled, and then it doesn't extend all the way down. And then I'm going to repeat that. Tap Edit Shape, make sure it's a line, not an arc.
Ah.
And this one, I'm moving it up even a little further and still tapering down. And then you can tap outside the canvas to release that. Susie asked, which set does the wood grain brush belong to, Abby?
I don't think I've ever released it.
Is it a, like
I
a...
have so many brushes that I don't even know. I don't. I can't remember. I don't think I've ever released it in a pack. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, I think, are there some wood grain brushes, but maybe not plank brushes? Like this has the individual boards. Are there wood grain brushes in the, oh my gosh.
The Web Stitch Craft Kit? No, there are none in there.
The media, print media, Printworks media.
Oh, that's a sort of a wood texture with a print effect, so that it looks like you're printing, making a wood
like
cut.
A block print. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So no, I haven't. This isn't actually been in a pack before.
So this is a live stream exclusive.
Exactly.
All right, so on the bottom edge, I'm moving up from the corner on the spiral side and then towards the outer side, angling it. And once I tap Edit Shape here, I can zoom in on my corner and make sure that it is connecting to the vertical shadow line. This is an extreme angle, actually. I probably wouldn't have left quite so much. So what we can do to work through this is I'm going to angle it less and then release that and then just draw one more line, maybe not like that. And this brush is pressure sensitive for opacity, so I'm using less pressure towards the top of the line. Then I'm going to tap Edit Shape, and then I can connect and reposition this so that it meets exactly where I want it to. And then I'll do one more. And this also just does not have to be super precise because it's such a small portion. I mean, you can see I'm zooming in to where it's really getting pixelated. You don't have to be super pedantic with it. And then if you want, oh, that was too big. If you want, you can sort of smudge out if there's any like weird overlaps. but I think that looks pretty good. So this is just to create the illusion of a few pages. I'm not going to push up the like top edge of the page here at all, but I find that this gives the effect of a stack enough. So then we can move on to the paper texture. I have 2 layers above the spiral and shadows. They are named linear burn and overlay, but we'll change the blend modes later. Right now, I will show you what they look like with just white on the normal blend mode. So I'm using white paper, and then in the paper textures section, these brushes are opaque in the brush preview, but if you use it, you'll see the texture right away. So if there's favorites that you have, it can help put an emoji by the brush name so that you can remember, or drag it into like a favorite set or something. But if you're ever like not sure, it's easy enough to just test it and
it's a bit of a bummer that they appear plain black or white. It depends if you have the light interface or the dark interface on. But there's no way to work around it. I've tried a million ways, but that's just the preview. I know that it freaks people out because I get lots of emails like, yeah, it's ugly and I can't see it. And then I just have to be reassuring and tell people it's actually, I promise the
it's
there.
okay. They're there.
It's okay. Yeah. But,
it helps at least that they're named very unique things so that it helps you determine and delineate between them.
Yeah. Exactly.
So before we use the brush, I am going to select just the page portion without the drop shadow. So to do that, I am on the page base layer, and I'm going to grab the selection tool, set to automatic without color fill on. And I'm going to adjust the threshold. You can see if I go all the way to 100, it selects everything, and you can see it even selects the page or the drop shadow. So what we want is just the page selected. And then with this selection live, I'm going to move back up to my linear burn layer. And then with the linear burn paper texture brush, I'm making note, I have it set to the middle saved point. You'll want to make sure that if you're, okay. I don't know what happened there. That was kind of weird. But you'll want to make sure that it's set to the same size point between the 2 brushes so that they're perfectly aligned, because this adjusts the actual scale of the texture. And the saved points make it super easy to just be sure that they're at the exact same percentage. And then I'm going to move to my linear burn layer. I still have my selection live. And I might linear burn my overlay layer. And then I'm moving to the overlay brush of that texture, still set to the same size point. And this one will come in gray. But once we move it to the overlay blend mode,
I always describe it as it looks like a dog blanket, but I don't think that people in the rest of the world have those gray dog blankets.
It makes
them. They're made out of like a recycled fabric, like the underlay of a carpet. That kind of, is that something that you get? That weird gray fibrous amalgam.
So I don't know, I don't have dogs. I'm not sure if they're common for dogs here, but I know, like, I've seen those in like moving blankets in
oh yes,
the moving truck to like cover the furniture.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Yes, exactly what I mean.
All right, so we have both layers set to their respective blend modes, and I did adjust the opacity of the linear burn layer just a bit. The blend modes in the names are just suggestions, so be sure to play around and find what you like that gives the effect you like. Don't feel limited by the instructions at all. And then the last step is, if I zoom in here on the spiral binding, you'll see the paper texture is sitting over the spiral. So we want to remove that. To do that, I'm going to use 2 fingers on the spiral layer to press and hold. And that selects just the layer contents. And then back in my layers panel, I am tapping on the linear burn layer to bring up the side menu. And then I'm going to tap mask. And then once more on the mask layer, I'm tapping to bring up the side menu, and I'm going to tap invert. And that removes that just from the spiral section. And then we'll do the same on the overlay layer.
Could you put your spiral above the paper texture?
Yes, I could. That's another way. I think, why do I do it this way? Oh, I have it done this way in case at the end we can walk through if you want to do like a page assist setup.
Oh,
I have it set up that way for the flexibility. But yes, that's the way easier way, is to just drag your spiral layer above. And then I'm going to group my texture layers. And that's done with the base. Shall we jump to Abby?
Cool. Okay, let me share my screen. There we go.
There's some good conversation going on about, like Mila says, every time I tell myself I'm not going to buy any more Procreate brushes, someone comes out with a set I have to have. Very relatable. And we've had Abby's had 4, 5. Is this your 5th set in the span of like a month? Very prolific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did have almost an entire year of not doing a single thing. So, you know.
we all need a bit of that.
Yeah. So this is how I have mine set up. I actually make the overlay and linear burn layers clipping masks onto a layer that I make from the page, using what Addie just showed, where you select the page so that the shadows aren't selected. And then I just make a little page so that all the textures and the page, the page lines can all clip to that shape, and they're all in exactly the right place. So I know that I want to put my drawing under the texture so that it has a nice texture. So I go to my little base shape layer. This one is layer 8. Let's rename it base shape so that it's clear. And then above that, any layer you make above within a little clipping stack will clip as well. So you don't have to go and clip it later, which is very handy. So,
I like that because if you're...
This is for the drawing.
And then if you go off the page, you're not actually going off the page.
Yes. So what I've been doing is drawing in this nice brown. Did you share the color palette that you made?
I didn't. Let me link it in the description.
This is a lovely color palette Addie's made that I keep using for this set. There's this nice toasty marshmallow brown over there. And I like using Addie's, I've actually got it saved in my recent saved and keep forever at the top brushes, the soft lead pencil from the Sketchbook set. And it's so nice to draw with. Look, that's nice. And that's how I've been doing the drawings. But sorry, I jumped the gun. Before we do that, I'm going to show you how to make a little Polaroid of your reference picture so that it looks cute. So go above, and then I group the sketchbook in one little group so that I know that I'm not drawing within the group accidentally or doing weird stuff. So above it, I'm going to go and grab white and zoot down to the bottom here. I really like how this set has got the little label brushes to show you that you're in the right area. And all you need to do is grab the Polaroid brush and white and just stamp it, and it's there. It's done. You've done the work. And then to get the picture into it, I'm going to do the same thing that Addie did with the sketchbook, and I'm going to select that square that is going to be the actual picture. So tap the lasso and then keep it on automatic, and tap inside, so that's highlighted. And then I'm going to make myself a little white square here. So let's rename that Polaroid base. And then I'm going to clip everything to that I'm going to use for my actual Polaroid picture. So I'm going to go in here and add insert a photo, and we could insert my hilariously dorky dog, but we're going to rather do this. And now you can see that it's isolated to that square, but that's much too massive. I don't want it to be that big. And then we can just resize it until you're happy with how it looks. You can even turn it.
Oh, I like that.
Until your composition is cool. And then we're going to make it look all Polaroid-y. So we want it to have a Polaroid texture. So I'm going to, let's start with it normal so you can see what the texture of the Polaroid. This is the Polaroidizer. Sorry, I apologize for calling it something so ridiculous. And you pick white, and it's exactly like the paper texture brushes. You pick white and it does all the work for you. And I want this Polaroid to be grainy, but not like freakishly grainy. So I've made the texture size quite small so it doesn't overwhelm the details. And then you just color in the space, and you can see this is this sort of blobberish grainy noise. Then when you set that to overlay, you can see that texture is then translated onto the picture, and it gives you that Polaroid effect. And if you don't want it to be so in your face, you can drop the opacity of that layer so that it's Polaroidy but not like weird. And then you can add a little bit of a light leak. Now these light leak brushes are set up so that they are dual color. So pick a bright color like, let's say, this pink, and then when you stamp the light leak, like for example this one, when you stamp it, two colors will appear. So it immediately gives you a little bit of that sort of variation that you get when you take a Polaroid.
Yeah, I love that
There we go.
it has the color pop as well as the brightness from the white, because it just turns out like no matter what bright color you use, it turns
Yeah.
out beautifully.
So you can either, as the brush is named, the blend mode screen is suggested in it, you can either set it to screen, which will give you that sort of, what's it called, blown out, super bright, flary look. Or you can set it to overlay where it looks like you've got a little bit of a color problem going on, which is also really cool. So I'm going to keep it on overlay, and then just to make it look cute, this navy blue at the bottom here is the perfect navy blue for ballpoint pens. Just letting you know. So choose that navy blue, and then we're going to write something here. So of these two ballpoint pens, the Scribbler is nice for doing this kind of quick line. You can shade things with it like that, etc., etc. That's it's set up for that. And then the plain ballpoint is actually set up for writing. So it won't work nicely for scribbling because it's got a bit too much streamline in it. Okay, so we're going to write here mushies.
And let me just run through some of the questions as you're writing too. Is downloading too many sets a toll on the iPad? I think it definitely can be. I actually had saved a a Q&A response from Procreate on that because they did confirm that it can slow down Procreate if you're reaching max capacity on your iPad storage.
Yeah,
So if you,
I had to buy a 1 terabyte iPad because it was just like groaning under the weight of all the crap that
yeah,
I keep on it. So
yeah.
yes, I can confirm.
And if you have a cloud service, then it's easy enough to like drag and drop brush sets in and
Yeah,
out. If you find that it's moving too slowly, that can be a good way to
yeah,
increase the processing speed a bit.
yeah. I keep everything on Dropbox for that exact reason. And it's also really handy to have a backup because you never know when your iPad's going to just quietly poo itself for no reason.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to go back and go, I've spent a fortune on all these brushes. Yay, I've still got them. Because if they all disappear, that is gutting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've produced our little Polaroid, and I'm going to put it over here, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Okay, and Addie is going to show you how to attach it to your sketchbook with a paperclip.
Yeah. So let me zoom in here and I'll just walk through quick what I did with the textures here. This is I don't even know what I called it now. The diamond Polaroid texture. And to be honest, I did this 100% because in Taylor Swift's 1989 album, all of her Polaroids have this cool, like very tactile diamond texture. So it's to emulate that because I'm a Taylor Swift fan. So obviously I had to. And then I added some grit and textures, and then I used a shadow brush with a darker color around the edges just to add some like grimy patina to the frame.
Addie, just to interrupt you quickly, I don't know if you can see that Addie has increased the width of the Polaroid stamp. So she stamped it and then used the transform tool to just widen it a little bit so that the photograph we were using would fit in it. So that's a good tip. Keep going.
Yes, yes. It becomes like a Polaroid competitor, like Instax. That I think they have a
Exactly.
rectangular one. Yes. Okay. Pull my group up to the top-ish, and I like to have it just slightly. Oh, I'm going to turn off snapping so I can move it like a pixel at a time. I like to have it slightly tilted and then crossing over the top. I feel like it pops more. And then on a layer above that, so I have my Polaroid grouped like Abby did too. I'm going to grab the paperclip brush, and you can use this with any color. To get a silver paperclip, you can use white, and that is really big. Adjust the size a bit, and I actually don't. Am I on a layer? I'm on a new layer. Okay. I can grab the transform tool and flip it upside down and tilt this a little bit too. And then we can kind of resize, reposition it into place. And then from here, I'm going to grab the selection tool, and this time I'm going to set it to freehand and zoom way in. And I'm going to mask out whichever portion of the paperclip that I don't want masked. You can do it either way. I'm going to do the inner one. So I'm selecting, zooming in really close so I can make sure that I cut it off right at the top. And then tapping across the straight lines, I always find is easier than trying to draw in a continuous stroke for these kinds of things. And then closing my selection. And you can either completely remove it or you can tap on the layer and select mask. And then once again, oh, not clear. That was the wrong one. Invert. And there, it's perfectly masked. If you want to make it like look more like it's in the place or in the scene, I like to grab black and the shadow edge brush, reduce the size here, and then I just quickly draw in a little bit of a shadow using this. Again, this is the layer below. Maybe not that much. And if I turn it on and off, you can see it just makes it look more realistic.
Yeah,
Get that bit of a shadow.
What's nice also is because it's so easy to produce the paper clip, it doesn't matter if you're short on layers and you just erase instead of creating a mask, because if you mess it up, you just stamp a new one. So
Yes.
it gives you a little bit of flexibility.
100%. Okay. So now I guess we can start sketching. Let's see here. So making sure that I am, no matter how you set it up, you'll just want to make sure that you're on a layer below your paper texture, but above your base page layer, because that is a solid one. And I am actually going to go ahead and hide. No, because I'll be zooming in. So this is where having the reference image comes handy, because this is anchored to a certain part of your canvas. It helps to have this window that stays in this portion of your screen, no matter where you are on the canvas. And I am going to be sketching using the ballpoint scribbler, and I'm going to stick with black for this. So what I really like about this pen is that it feels like a ballpoint pen in the way that the ink builds up. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's like when you're scribbling back and forth with a ballpoint pen, and it's like you're able to get like that nice shade because it's wicking the ink like with the tip.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and it really like
a sticky, thick patch.
Yes, yeah, but it really feels like that when you're watching the ink build up on the screen. It's very cool.
Have you ever accidentally bitten into a ballpoint pen and had the ink in your mouth?
I think when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not the other day. I mean, the other long time ago. Yes.
Man, I love a good ballpoint pen. When I was a server, I had a very special favorite pen that is very protective of. But like, there's nothing quite like the experience of writing with the perfect ballpoint pen.
Yeah. There's a South African brand called Bic. Is it a brand that's everywhere? But
Bic?
they have
It's
Is it everywhere?
South African? Yeah.
Maybe,
but I didn't.
Maybe it's everywhere and just also in South Africa. But they have this particular kind with a clicky back with a little see-through button at the back and they're very rounded, and those are the best pens. You can't get them here in Australia. In Australia, the best ballpoint pen is called Kilometrico.
Oh.
Allegedly because you can write for a kilometer and then the ink runs out. I don't know who's measuring how far their writing goes, but anyway.
That's wild. Oh my gosh, I watched such a good video recently. It's from the YouTuber Johnny Harris. He does like a lot of like geopolitical videos, but he did a video really like this week on like the standard is it imperial system and the metric system, and how the metric system was created, which is not something that I ever learned in school. And it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. It was fascinating to me. But he also talked about how the imperial system is created, and it's like, I think I knew some of that. It's like a foot because you measure by your actual foot size. And then,
A foot is pretty long for a foot. There must have
yeah.
been quite a generously footed man who invented
Yeah.
that.
Well, and one of the kings of England at some point dictated that everything be specific to his body measurements. And so for that time period, the measurement of a foot was his foot size. Just like insane.
The ego.
Insane.
The ego.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Leaders. Terrible. That's insane. Can you imagine
But I
telling
didn't
the
know.
whole world they need to change everything because your foot is shorter than the standard foot?
Right? I didn't know that the metric system is literally created off of like a quadrant of the Earth's circumference. And that's how they like determined what the unit of a meter and a centimeter is.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll send you the video. Sorry, I have to let my cat out. Let me switch over to Abby for this.
So I'm just drawing a couple of these mushies. And then I'm going to use I'm not sure if you guys have seen Addie's Mess Makers set and I'm going to use that for the color. She's got a watercolor brush here called Dark Edge Watercolor that is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And what I'm going to do is this lovely brown that I'm using for the pencil looks very nice if you set it to linear burn, because when it goes over the paint colors, it looks a little bit darker and sort of juicy, and I like that. Okay. And it's a really nice brush because you can, if you press softly, it leaves a thick deposit of pigment, and if you press a little bit harder, you can smush it out. So, and also you can drop the opacity of it easily, and it looks really good.
Oh.
So I'm not going to be terribly exact. I'm just going to pretend I'm in a forest somewhere looking at mushrooms. And
Oh
this
yeah,
is how I've painted it.
I feel like the ballpoint pen really lends itself also to the like looser sketchy nature that we're kind of going for
Yeah.
here.
It's weird. Every now and again I have a period of time where I just forget how to draw, and then I sit at my iPad just thinking, what happened? It left me. I can't do it anymore. And then I
Yes.
just need a moment where somebody goes, we're doing a live on Saturday. You need to draw some mushrooms, and suddenly I have a target and I can do it again. So I'm really grateful for these moments where I end up, reviving my abilities. I don't know if does anybody else ever have that? Like just suddenly you go, I've forgotten how to draw. Damn it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, I feel like because we're our own worst critics, it's just compounded by that self-criticism that you have, and then you just feel like everything you draw looks bad. And so you've not only
Yes.
forgotten how to draw, but you're like terrible at it too, and it's just
Exactly.
can be
Exactly.
very defeating. But I think that those breaks are really important because
They
it's
are, aren't
impossible to
they?
be on creatively all the time.
I need this redder.
Let me see, make sure I have hit some questions. I see Leanne. Thank you. I'm so sorry to everybody who is coming in late because I sent out the wrong time for this at one point. I think I even had it scheduled for the wrong time at one point. It's been a week. Um, but the replay will always be available on my channel as like a regular video. So hopefully that makes
The
up for it
other day,
somewhat.
when we were trying to figure out how to do the launch and what time was going to be the same time, the two of us just sat there like, hang on, daylight savings is starting. What are we going to do? We were like literally Googling what time will it be in Chicago when it's this time on this day. I felt really like that was a challenge for my brain, big time.
Yeah, it still hurts my head to think about because the time change happens at different times for different countries and like
Yeah.
oof, oof, because I'm counting backwards. I think when it's past 12 hours, it just becomes impossible to calculate in your head, at least for me, for
Yeah.
a non-math person.
This looks cute already, but I need to show you something even better. In the smudge tool, I like to grab some of these brushes in Addie's Messmaker set. They near the bottom. There's some called Imprecision Encouraged, which I really it resonates with me. And then I use the smudge tool, and then you can just sort of touch your screen, and it does magic stuff without much effort at all. It just can look really,
Oh,
really good. Cool. Okay, and then one more thing I wanted to show you was if you're making a little sort of faux sketchbook of plein air kind of, I was in the bush doing nature stuff thing, and you want it to look like you have a little swatch of colors, you can make a little piece of paper and swatch it out. So I'm going to just grab the square page and make it a little bit smaller. I'm just going to, so now I'm in a layer group that's on a layer that's above my sketchbook, but it's below the other one. It doesn't matter, it's not going to be in the same place. And then grab white. Oops, too small. Okay, and now I'm just going to resize it to make a little color swatchy thing
yeah.
like that. And then you don't need to make it textured, but if you want, you can add, let's add some clipping masks layers to that. I think what I want to do is make this look like a piece of cardboard. So I should have actually stamped it in a different color, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to fill that with a sort of cardboard boxish buff color. Oopsie.
That was perfect on the first try. I'm very impressed.
Wait, I first need to do my, whoops, wrong layer. I need to do this thing where I didn't actually fill a layer with to
Oh,
make
right.
a little base thing. Yes,
Yeah.
let's do that one with that, and then clip all of these. Not that. These must clip to here. Okay. It's a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to do linear band overlay. I've done them in the wrong order. And one of my favorite textures in the paper textures is this one, cardboard box. We're on the overlay layer. And because these textures are oriented to your screen, for example, the little cardboard piece is now in that direction. If I add the texture like this, the lines will be vertical. So if I want the lines of the cardboard to conform to the direction of the little piece of paper I've made, I just got to line it up so that it's parallel to the edges of the iPad. And then I can do my cardboard box texture.
I love that texture.
There we go. And if you want to just suit it down a little bit. Okay, and then I can put my paint colors on this layer. And I've been using that brown. I'm going to go back to Addie's Mess Makers because a really nice brush for making splotches is thick goopy paint. As soon as I paint it on, you'll see exactly what I mean. How cool is this? It just instantly looks good. Hang on, let me turn off this texture and you can see it's already got texture in it. No effort required. So
but it's
good.
so fun on the cardboard. Because it even looks like it seeps in to the cardboard texture.
Yeah, it does. That's awesome. Maybe wait, where's that cream white? That disappeared off the end of the. And green. And then to attach your little piece of cardboard to your page, you can use a little piece of washi tape. Hang on, my mushy is now hiding. Mushroom? Let's move it. Come with me, baby. There we go. Okay, and then we can put a little piece of washi tape at the top to stick the cardboard down.
Yes.
And do it in sort of turquoise. You can't go wrong with turquoise. And I like the dotty one. Let's see. So when you're building a sketchbook, what is quite important is to just use your common sense to make sure that the sizes of things look like they work together. So you wouldn't kind of have a jumbo piece of washi tape on a tiny little Polaroid with a mega sized paper clip. That could look wonky and weird, unless wonky and weird is the look you're going for. But you kind of want to bear in mind that the binding of the book is a certain size. Then just estimate what size you think all the rest of the elements are going to be. Okay, after that little mini lecture, here is the washi tape. And the washi tape, you just draw the line, hold it still, and boops, it makes it. And you're done. And I like to make a little drop shadow underneath it. Like this. And just gauzy in it a teeny weeny bit. And then you can make it look like it's peeling up a tiny little bit there. And linear burn and make it a bit less obvious.
That looks so good. You are so far ahead of me. I haven't even gotten to the paint portion, and I know we're at 6.
I
But I'll
haven't
share
labeled my mushies yet.
I
either.
have
Go for it.
Okay. So I've been kind of splitting my time between sketching and throwing in comments too. But I'm gonna, because Abby showed you some coloring in, I'm gonna skip that, and I want to show you quick how to set things up for Page Assist if you want, which will give you a multi-page sketchbook that you could use, as well as a couple other quick tips. So I'm going to first go ahead and hide my reference window, and we'll go through the Page Assist function first. So if you've used Procreate for a while, you might know about this feature, or you might know about the similar one, Animation Assist. And basically what it does is it interprets all of the layers in your layers panel into individual pages. It also will interpret a group as a separate page as well. So you can use multiple layers on a page by grouping them together. So to turn that on, under the wrench, I'm going to go to Canvas, and halfway down, I'm going to turn on Page Assist, and automatically it interprets my layers as they are, which is not organized and set up for this. So to make it so that the page layer, or the notebook page, is on a base, and then all of your drawings are on separate pages above that. What I'm going to do is group my entire notebook, paperclip, and Polaroid together and group them here. And right now it's at the top, so we're going to drag it to the very bottom, because once it's on the bottom in this small bar that comes up here, it'll give you the option to set it as a background. And then from here, each individual page will show up one at a time. So if I wanted to have both of these in the same group or on the same page, I would group them together. And then the only downside here is that you don't get the paper texture on top. So if I were to paint something on this layer, it has the texture from the brush, and then where it's transparent on the brush, you can kind of see through, but you don't get the real full effect of the paper texture. So there's a couple options. The one that's less layer intensive is to just set this blend mode to multiply, and that will pass a little bit more of the texture on, but still not the full effect that we get if it's on top. So the alternative to that is to make a copy of your textures for each page and remove it from the bottom group. So I've dragged it up above this page layer, and then for each subsequent page, what I'll do is duplicate this. It says new group, but it's the texture stack, and then group it with my painting, sketching, and drawing layers. And so this way, you can see the paper clip. That's kind of interesting. I must have grouped that. Oh, I pulled it down. That's what I did wrong. Okay. So back when I grouped my notebook stack together, I pulled the Polaroid frame and the paper clip together, but those should actually be on the page of whatever I'm drawing. So that this way, if I'm to flip in between, it's totally gone. There we go. So that's option 2. The third option is to not actually set this up as Page Assist, but to set it up as Animation Assist instead, because in Animation Assist you can add a foreground, which would allow you to set the texture stack as the foreground, and then each page just pops in between. So once you have your texture dragged to the top and you tap on this layer, it'll give you an option to set it as the foreground. And then under settings here, we're just going to remove the onion skin frames. So then we can flip between. And that one has double texture, so I'm just going to delete that. And now you can see the texture comes through. So that's a lot of different options. And let's see. If you don't mind, Abby, do we have a couple more minutes that I can show a couple other things?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So first, I want to do an interlude here. And just one moment.
It sounds like you're going to pick up a small violin and start playing.
I have to share a different window here quick. So this is from Leanne, who's in chat right now, and it is such a clever way to utilize the washi tape brushes that I really wanted to share with you.
Oh, is that what you showed me earlier?
Yeah. So
Hey, Leanne, this is brilliant.
It's so clever. Did you make these stitching brushes, first of all? I love them. And then the use of like all of the different patterns and the different widths, it's just like such a cool out of the box idea.
Yeah, it's really clever.
And then rapid fire, I wanted to show you how to make a 2-page setup because somebody asked about it at the beginning. And I also want to say too, I am going to put out a video on this separately. So if these instructions are a little sped up or without like the zooming in that I do on YouTube videos and stuff, I feel like sometimes the instructions
Yeah.
aren't as clear as they could be. So this will just be an overview in general. I'm going to start working with the existing page that I have here. So I'm going to make a duplicate so that I can finish that other one up later. And we don't need... Okay, so all I have in this group is the spiral, the shadows, and the page base. I don't have my paper texture down or anything. And I am going to clip my shadow layer over my base page layer so that they are stuck together and that they I had some overhang on the bottom. And then I'm going to clear my spiral layer. So if you're starting from scratch, all you need to do is draw your page and your shadows like normal and make sure that you have enough space.
And when you say shadows, you meaning edge shadows?
Yes,
Okay.
because the drop shadow is built into the page. Thank you for that clarification.
Cool.
We're going to want to make sure that we're on a canvas that's big enough to accommodate 2 pages. So it looks like I can flip this one and fit 2 side by side. So again, this is both my edge shadows and my page layer together. And I'm going to duplicate both of these. Oh. And then still clip over each edge shadow layer to the base page. And then I'm going to select both the page and the shadows of either one. And we're going to flip this horizontally with the transform tool. And then here you're going to want to make sure that you have magnetics and snapping turned on, because what we're going to do is drag it across and we want it to be perfectly aligned at top to bottom. So we'll just slide it over, and the distance in between we can adjust later once we draw the spiral. So now we have 2 pages, they're mirrored, and because we did both the page and the shadows together, they are nicely flipped, and we don't have to draw any more edge shadows or anything like that. So then on a new empty layer above, we can draw in a center spiral binding. So there's 2 different options here. I'm going to go with the single wire, and you might have to play around with the size to find what fits well for your canvas size. Once I've drawn it in, I'm going to tap Edit Shape so that the nodes come up, and then I'm going to align it just to the right side. And then make sure that I'm grabbing the left side of it. I'm selecting both of these and grabbing the transform tool. I still have snapping and magnetics turned on, and I'm going to slide this across. I can zoom in to make sure that it aligns perfectly with that edge.
Okay,
and then at this point,
I'm following along.
At this point, if you want, you can merge all of your base layers together, or merge your shadow layers together, whichever way. And then when you add the paper texture, you'll just select both sides of the page instead of one. So I know that was really fast, but like I said, I will be publishing a video, and once we're not live anymore, you can go back and check the replay and watch them again. If that was too rushed.
I did it! I've done it.
Yes.
It works. It works.
Ooh.
She's not lying. It totally works.
Oh, and I like what you're doing here of just resizing the binding with the transform tool too.
Wait, I need to tap, tap, tap. Hurry up, little tapping thing. There it comes. Dooks! And now I can erase these. You're very clever. This is, whoopsie, that's not the layer. This new thing that's happening, is that happening to you as well? When you try and draw on a layer group? Is that a thing? Or is that just, it's just doing it on my iPad? Because I mean, it's handy, but it's sort of, it's a new thing that's confused me. Addie,
I know I have
look how clever you are.
Thanks. I have a gesture set up for that layer search feature, and that's the only time that I've had it come up. I haven't had it come up otherwise, so I'm not sure if that's like something with the latest update. I know they pushed up update through this week.
Oh, that must have been it. Mine.
So yeah, it could have been. Yeah. Let's see. I want to make sure that I answered everybody's questions too. Forgive me, this has already been mentioned, but this would be great for making elements for digital planners too. Yeah. We were talking, it'll be cool to see how everyone creatively uses this and maybe have it branch out beyond people who maybe only use Procreate. And so it might extend to people who use other apps.
I saw Jenny Golan say hi earlier in the chat, and she makes really beautiful digital planners.
Oh yeah, I love that. I think like even like calendar pages or anything like bullet journals. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Is this for personal use only? That's a great question. I think that the individual like stamp brushes. What am I trying to say? I had somebody DM me a question about this too, and I would say like your art that you make, you can absolutely use that for commercial purchases, and so that would be like if you make a spread or something, or like a planner page, like totally that is yours in your creation to use. But if you were to like stamp a binder clip on a page and sell it as a transparent PNG, just that binder clip, I think that would fall under not like personal use only. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, very good question. Oh, that's helpful too. Judy said that under textures, Procreate has a wood grain brush. So if you don't have access to download right now, that's another way to use that. And then let's see. All right. I think I got every question. Lori said that she also has to close Procreate when it gets stuck in the multi-layer look. So you're definitely not alone, Abby. It's not just your iPad. Oh, here's a question. Is this for crafters? Totally. I think it's for anybody that can find cool new ways to use it. Like Leanne's quilt is a very crafty way to use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Even I saw somebody did something with one of the tags and then used a thread brush from your Whip Stitch craft kit to draw the string for it, which is super cute. Yeah. Yeah. So they work in tandem too. Okay. So I think that I addressed everything. If not, leave it in a comment and I can try to get back to you in a timely fashion. Everything that we used today, though, is linked in the video description. And this was such a joy to create with you, Abby. I loved collaborating on a product together.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. Yeah.
And if you make anything, be sure, and you're posting it on Instagram, be sure to tag us so that we can see and show you some love too. And really just in general, thank you for your support for
Yeah.
those of you who have purchased it or just for watching and following along. Even if you only get the freebies, we're just thrilled to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we will be back soon. Next time we're gonna do something with Abby's thick texture brush pack, which came out
Yes.
a couple weeks ago, and it's the
Yes.
thick like frosting brushes, which I'm very excited
Yeah.
for. So
Yeah.
keep an
Cool.
eye out for that. The best way to get notified is to either follow us on Instagram. We'll post on our stories the week that we're going to go live. Sign up for our newsletters. And then also, if you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications, that's the most surefire way to get a
Yeah.
notification that will go live because that'll push it
Yeah.
through. Great. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.